Development for what would become Grand Theft Auto V began quietly. It started right after Grand Theft Auto IV shipped in 2008. The team at Rockstar North, based in Edinburgh, Scotland, was exhausted. They had just created a gritty, realistic Liberty City. But they were already thinking about what came next. The core group of producers and writers, including Dan and Sam Houser, started mapping out a new world. They wanted to return to the fictional state of San Andreas. This time, they would not just recreate one city. They aimed to build an entire region, a satirical version of Southern California. It was a massive undertaking from the very first day. The ambition was bigger than anything they had ever attempted before. The early vision for GTA V was a departure from the darker tone of its predecessor. Nico Bellic's story was a somber tale of an immigrant chasing a flawed American dream. For the next game, Rockstar wanted something different. They wanted to explore the vibrant, sun-soaked culture of modern Los Angeles. The idea was to capture the absurdity of a city obsessed with celebrity, self-help, and money. This led to the groundbreaking decision to have three protagonists. Michael, Franklin, and Trevor would represent different facets of the criminal world. Their interconnected stories would allow players to see the game's world from multiple perspectives. This narrative structure was complex. It presented a huge technical and creative challenge for the development team. The initial work involved extensive research. Teams were sent to Southern California. They took thousands of photographs and hours of video footage. They studied the architecture, the geography, and the people. They wanted to capture the essence of Los Angeles and its surrounding areas. From the glitzy mansions of Beverly Hills to the struggling communities of South LA, every detail was documented. This meticulous research formed the foundation of Los Santos and Blaine County. The goal was to create a world that felt alive and authentic. It needed to be a believable playground for the chaos and satire that Grand Theft Auto was famous for. This dedication to detail set the stage for a long and difficult development cycle. As the concept took shape, the scale of the project became clear. Rockstar was not just making a sequel, they were building a new platform for interactive entertainment. The Houser brothers envisioned a game that would push the limits of the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. They wanted a seamless open world, richer and more detailed than any before it. The plan included a sprawling single-player campaign and a persistent online multiplayer mode. This dual focus would stretch the company's resources thin. It also laid the groundwork for future conflicts and strategic shifts. The seeds of GTA V's immense success, and its many controversies, were sown in these early days of ambitious planning and world-building. The sheer size of Grand Theft Auto V was staggering. It was one of the most expensive entertainment products ever made. The combined development and marketing budget reportedly exceeded $265 million. To put that in perspective, it was more expensive than many Hollywood blockbuster films. This massive investment was spread across multiple Rockstar studios around the world. While Rockstar North led the project, teams in San Diego, Leeds, Toronto, and New England all contributed. Over 1,000 people worked on the game over its 5-year development cycle. This global effort was necessary to build the enormous and intricate world of Los Santos. Every street, building, and character model required immense manpower and resources. This huge budget was not just for show, it was essential for realizing Rockstar's vision. The game world was larger than Grand Theft Auto IV, Red Dead Redemption, and Grand Theft Auto. Media Group, side-by-side maps of game worlds, digital map with highlighted area comparisons added stock added distribute underscore equally, San Andreas combined. It was filled with an unprecedented level of detail. The world featured a functioning ecosystem with wildlife. It had a dynamic weather system. The ocean floor was fully explorable, complete with hidden wrecks and marine life. This level of detail extended to the game's mechanics. The driving, shooting, and physics systems were all overhauled. Creating such a complex simulation required a massive team of programmers, artists, and designers working in concert. The financial risk was enormous. If the game failed, it could have been a major blow to Rockstar and its parent company, Take-Two Interactive. The pressure to deliver was intense. The long development cycle meant that the team was working under a microscope. The gaming community's expectations were sky-high. Delays were met with frustration and speculation. Inside the studio, the culture was one of perfectionism. Dan Houser was known for his demanding leadership style. He would often order major rewrites of the script and changes to game mechanics late in development. This pursuit of quality often led to what many employees described as a crunch culture. Staff were expected to work long hours, including nights and weekends, for months on end. While this dedication resulted in a polished final product, it took a significant personal toll on many of the people who built the game. The financial gamble ultimately paid off in a spectacular way. Grand Theft Auto V broke sales records upon its release. It earned over $800 million on its first day and crossed the $1 billion mark in just 3 days. It became the fastest-selling entertainment product in history. The massive investment had yielded an even more massive return. This success validated Rockstar's high-risk, high-reward approach to game development. It also cemented GTA's status as a cultural phenomenon. However, the immense cost and the human price of its creation set a new, and sometimes troubling, precedent for the video game industry. It showed that blockbuster games now required blockbuster budgets and often immense personal sacrifice from their creators. Despite the meticulous planning, the development of GTA V was not smooth. The game's original release date was set for spring 2013. However, in January of that year, Rockstar announced a delay. The new release date was September 17, 2013. The company stated that the game simply needed more polish. They said a project of this scale required extra time to meet their standards. While fans were disappointed, most understood the need for quality. Behind the scenes, the delay was a sign of the immense pressure the team was under. They were struggling to finalize the massive game and its equally ambitious online component. The 4-month delay pushed the team into an even more intense period of crunch to hit the new deadline. Leaks became another major headache for Rockstar. Information about the game would periodically find its way onto the internet. In August 2013, just a month before launch, a major leak occurred. Some users who pre-ordered the digital version on the PlayStation Store were able to download certain game files early. These files were quickly dissected by eager fans. They revealed the full in-game radio station track lists and other story details. This spoiled some of the game's surprises. Rockstar and Sony worked to contain the damage, but the information spread like wildfire. It was a frustrating setback for a company that prided itself on carefully managing its public image and controlling the flow of information about its projects. Beyond delays and leaks, many planned features were ultimately cut from the final game. Early design documents and leaked information hinted at a more complex world. There were plans for a dynamic stock market that could be more deeply manipulated by player actions in the story. Some planned heist missions were more elaborate. There were also rumors of entire sections of the map and story arcs that were trimmed down or removed entirely to make the project more manageable. For instance, the game's code contained references to factions and gang wars that were more sophisticated than what appeared in the final product. These cuts were a normal part of game development. However, for a game as anticipated as GTA V, every lost feature felt like a broken promise to some fans. The development of the 3 protagonists also saw changes. The concept of switching between characters was a core pillar of the game, but balancing their stories and abilities was a constant challenge. Early ideas reportedly gave each character more unique, exclusive skills that were later generalized for better gameplay flow. Trevor's character, in particular, was a source of internal debate. His extreme violence and chaotic nature pushed the boundaries of what was acceptable even for a Grand Theft Auto game. The team had to carefully balance his shocking behavior with moments of vulnerability to make him a compelling if deeply disturbed character. These creative struggles were part of the difficult process of refining the game's massive scope into a cohesive experience. When Grand Theft Auto V launched, the box contained 2 experiences. There was the sprawling single-player story of Michael, Franklin, and Trevor, and there was the promise of Grand Theft Auto Online, a persistent multiplayer world set to launch 2 weeks later. Initially, Rockstar's public statement suggested a continued focus on both. The company had a strong track record of releasing substantial single-player expansions like The Lost and Damned and The Ballad of Gay Tony for GTA 4. Fans eagerly awaited similar story-based, downloadable content for GTA 5. There were even hints in the game's code about potential single-player DLC, with some fans speculating about new heists or stories centered on one of the protagonists. However, the launch of GTA Online, while rocky at first, quickly changed everything. The initial weeks were plagued by server issues, lost characters, and bugs. But once Rockstar stabilized the service, its popularity exploded. Players flocked to the online world of Los Santos. They loved the freedom to create their own criminal enterprises with friends. Rockstar saw the immense potential. They began releasing a steady stream of free content updates for GTA Online. These updates added new vehicles, weapons, clothing, and game modes. The focus was on keeping players engaged in the online world. This strategy proved to be incredibly effective. The player base for GTA Online remained massive long after most people had finished the single-player story. The key to GTA Online's longevity was its monetization system. While the content updates were free, players could purchase shark cards with real money. These cards gave them in-game currency, which could be used to buy expensive cars, apartments, and weapons more quickly. This microtransaction model turned GTA Online into a cash cow for Rockstar and Take-Two. It generated billions of dollars in revenue, far surpassing the initial sales of the base game. The financial success of this model created a powerful incentive for the company to pour all its resources into the online component. Developing a single-player DLC would be a one-time sale. Supporting GTA Online provided a continuous and highly profitable revenue stream. As a result, the promised single-player expansions never materialized. In 2017, a Rockstar director confirmed that the company had no plans for story DLC. The focus was entirely on GTA Online. This pivot was a major disappointment for many fans who loved the narrative-driven experiences that Rockstar was known for. They felt that the company had abandoned its single-player roots in pursuit of online profits. The decision marked a significant turning point for Rockstar. It shifted the company's business model and set a new precedent for the Grand Theft Auto series. The wild success of GTA Online ensured that future projects would likely follow a similar games-as-a-service model, for better or for worse. The success of Grand Theft Auto V brought with it a wave of legal challenges. Rockstar found itself in courtrooms almost as often as its characters did. One of the most high-profile cases involved actress Lindsay Lohan. In 2014, she filed a lawsuit against Take-Two Interactive. Lohan claimed that a minor character in the game, Lacey Jonas, used her likeness, voice, and style without permission. The character was a celebrity obsessed with avoiding the paparazzi. Lohan's lawsuit argued that this was a clear parody of her own life. The case dragged on for years. Ultimately, the New York Court of Appeals dismissed the lawsuit in 2018. The court ruled that the game was a work of satire and that the character was not a direct portrait of Lohan, protecting it under the First Amendment. Music licensing also became a legal minefield. The game's radio stations feature hundreds of licensed songs, creating an authentic and immersive world. However, these licenses are not permanent. Over the years, some of these licensing agreements have expired. This has forced Rockstar to remove certain songs from the game in later updates. For example, in 2018, a patch for the PC version removed several tracks from the 90s-themed radio station, Radio Los Santos. This frustrated players who had grown attached to the original soundtrack. It highlighted a growing problem in the digital age. Games are not static products. They can be altered by the publisher long after purchase, sometimes in ways that diminish the original experience. Another contentious legal area involved the game's modding community. On PC, players have a long history of creating modifications, or mods, for Grand Theft Auto games. These mods can add new cars, change gameplay mechanics, or even create entirely new experiences. For a time, Rockstar seemed to tolerate single-player modding. However, in June 2017, Take-Two Interactive sent a cease-and-desist letter to the creators of OpenIVoy. This was a popular and essential tool used by thousands of modders. The company argued that the tool enabled malicious mods in GTA Online. The community erupted in protest. They flooded the game's Steam page with negative reviews, tanking its rating. The backlash was so severe that Rockstar eventually reversed course and worked out an agreement to allow OpenIV to continue, as long as it did not interfere with the online mode. Rockstar also faced lawsuits from less famous individuals. Rapper Daz Dillinger from the group The Dog Pound claimed that Rockstar used 2 of his instrumental tracks in the game without proper compensation. He sent a cease-and-desist letter demanding the publisher either pay him more or recall and destroy unsold copies of the game. Another lawsuit came from Karen Gravano, daughter of former mobster Sammy the Bull Gravano. She claimed that the character Andrea Bottino in one of the game's random events was based on her life story, and that Rockstar used it without her permission. Like the Lohan case, her lawsuit was eventually dismissed. these legal battles showed the risks of creating a game that satirizes and borrows heavily from real-world culture. Grand Theft Auto V was controversial from the moment it was released. One mission in particular drew widespread condemnation. The mission, titled By the Book, requires the player to torture a man for information. The game forces the player to participate directly, selecting from a variety of gruesome tools. While the mission was intended as a satire of government-sanctioned torture, many critics and players found it deeply disturbing and unnecessary. Anti-torture charities and politicians spoke out against it. In response to the backlash, Rockstar defended the mission as a piece of political commentary. However, the controversy was so intense that Japanese versions of the game had this scene significantly censored, removing the interactive elements and toning down the graphic detail. Licensing issues continued to force changes to the game long after its release. Beyond music, this also affected in-game content like clothing and vehicles. In a 2022 update for the next-generation versions of the game, players noticed that some content had been removed. For example, a Confederate flag on the back of a vehicle, often called the Duke of Death, was removed. This change was likely made to avoid controversy and to align the game with modern sensibilities. While many players supported the removal of such a divisive symbol, others saw it as a form of retroactive censorship. They argued that the game was a product of its time and should be preserved as it was originally released, flaws and all. The transition of the game to newer consoles like the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S also brought unexpected content removals. In the enhanced and expanded version released in 2022, players discovered that some dialogue and visual gags, which some might consider transphobic, had been removed. For instance, certain character models referred to as drag queens in the game director's mode were no longer present. Dialogue that made jokes at the expense of transgender people was also reportedly cut. Rockstar never officially commented on these specific changes. It seemed the company was quietly updating the game to remove material that was now seen as more offensive than satirical. This sparked a debate among fans about whether it was right to alter art to fit changing social norms. These removals and alterations highlight a central tension in long-running games. On one hand, companies want their products to remain appealing and acceptable to a broad, modern audience. On the other hand, players who bought the game years ago feel a sense of ownership over the original experience. When content is removed, it can feel like a part of their purchase has been taken away. It raises complex questions about preservation and artistic intent. Is a game a static piece of art, or is it a living service that should evolve with the times? For GTA 5, the answer seems to be the latter, with Rockstar continuously curating the game's content to manage controversy and maintain its massive commercial appeal. As GTA Online grew into a financial behemoth, new criticisms emerged. These were not about violence or satire, but about the very design of the game's economy. The online mode was built to be a grind. Earning enough in-game money to buy the most desirable items like supercars or military jets required dozens, if not hundreds, of hours of gameplay. This led to accusations that the game was designed to be intentionally tedious. The goal, critics argued, was to push players towards a shortcut, buying shark cards with real money. This model was seen by some as exploitative. It created a system where players with more disposable income had a significant advantage over those with more time. This monetization strategy led to more serious legal troubles. In recent years, a new type of lawsuit has emerged, targeting video game companies for creating addictive products. In 2024, a class action lawsuit was filed against Take-Two Interactive in the United States. The lawsuit alleged that the company knowingly designed GTA Online to be psychologically addictive, particularly for younger players. It claimed that the game's reward systems, which rely on intermittent and unpredictable payouts, are similar to the mechanics of a slot machine. The plaintiffs argued that this creates a compulsion loop that encourages excessive play and spending. This legal challenge represents a new frontier in consumer protection, questioning the ethical responsibilities of game developers. Player welfare has become a growing concern within the community. Many longtime players have expressed burnout and frustration with the game's direction. The constant need to grind for money to afford the latest content update can feel like a job. The game's economy has also suffered from severe inflation. New items added to the game are often absurdly expensive, making older methods of earning money feel obsolete. This forces players to engage with the newest, most profitable activities, like the complex heists, whether they enjoy them or not. This design can feel restrictive, undermining the sense of freedom that the series is famous for. The game's world is a playground, but for some, the rules have become too demanding. Rockstar's response to these concerns has been mixed. The company has made some changes to improve the player experience, such as increasing payouts for certain activities and offering regular bonuses and free items. However, the core monetization model remains unchanged. The company's financial reports consistently highlight the massive revenue generated by microtransactions, indicating that the system is too profitable to abandon. This creates a difficult situation. GTA Online's success is built on a foundation that some players and legal experts view as predatory. The golden handcuffs of microtransaction revenue keep the game funded with new content, but they also lock it into a design that prioritizes profit over player-friendly game design. In late 2023, nearly a decade after its initial release, Rockstar made a move that reignited fan anger. The company began quietly removing a large number of vehicles from the in-game stores in GTA Online. Nearly 200 cars and motorcycles that had been available for years suddenly vanished from the websites where players could purchase them. Rockstar explained that this was done to streamline the shopping experience. They stated that the removed vehicles would be made available periodically through other means, such as showroom rotations or as rewards. However, many players saw this as a cynical move to create artificial scarcity and push players towards the new GTA Plus subscription service, where some of these vehicles were featured. This culling of content sparked a fierce debate about digital ownership. Players who had not yet purchased these vehicles felt that their ability to enjoy the full game had been diminished. They had bought a product with the understanding that this content was available. Now it was being taken away or locked behind new temporary paywalls. The incident highlighted a fundamental truth of modern gaming. Players do not truly own the digital content they pay for. They are merely purchasing a license to access it, a license that the publisher can alter or revoke. This realization led to a significant backlash, with players accusing Rockstar of being anti-consumer and greedy. The backlash was not just about the removed vehicles. It was part of a broader sentiment that Rockstar was no longer the same company that fans once revered. In the past, Rockstar was seen as a developer that put artistic vision and player experience first. Now, many felt the company was dominated by the corporate interests of its parent company, Take-Two Interactive. The relentless focus on GTA Online's monetization, the lack of single-player content, and the removal of existing features all contributed to this perception. Fans felt a growing disconnect between the company's actions and the values they once associated with the Rockstar brand. The trust that had been built over decades was beginning to erode. This digital reckoning has broader implications for the industry. As more games move towards a live service model, questions of preservation and ownership become more urgent. If a company can remove content from a 10-year-old game at will, what does that mean for the future of game libraries? Players are starting to push back against practices they see as unfair. The negative reaction to Rockstar's decisions serves as a warning to other publishers. While the live service model can be incredibly profitable, it also requires a level of trust and respect for the player base. If that trust is broken, even the most successful game in the world can face a rebellion from its most dedicated fans. Grand Theft Auto V is, without a doubt, a monumental achievement. It is one of the best-selling and most profitable entertainment products of all time. Its world is a technical marvel, a detailed and satirical playground that has captivated millions of players for over a decade. The game's narrative, with its 3 distinct protagonists, was a bold and successful experiment in storytelling. On a technical and commercial level, its success is undeniable. It pushed the boundaries of what was possible in an open-world game and set a new standard for the industry. It generated billions of dollars and became a cultural touchstone for a generation. This success story is a testament to the talent and dedication of the thousands of people who built it. However, this triumph came at a significant cost. The story behind the game is one of immense pressure, personal sacrifice, and controversial business decisions. The development was marked by a demanding crunch culture that took a toll on its employees. Its release was followed by a string of legal battles that questioned the game's content and ethics. The pivot away from beloved single-player expansions towards the relentless monetization of GTA Online left many longtime fans feeling alienated. They saw a company that once championed artistic integrity seemingly prioritize endless revenue streams above all else. This created a rift between Rockstar and a portion of its most loyal community. The legacy of GTA 5 is therefore a dual one. It is a masterpiece of game design and a cautionary tale of modern corporate gaming. The game itself remains a brilliant piece of interactive entertainment, but the ecosystem that grew around it, particularly GTA Online, raises difficult questions. It highlights the industry's struggles with ethical monetization, the challenges of maintaining live service games, and the growing debate over digital ownership. The game's history is a reflection of the changing priorities of the blockbuster video game industry. The focus has shifted from selling a single, complete product to creating a continuous, revenue-generating service. As we look towards the future and the eventual release of Grand Theft Auto 6, the lessons of GTA 5 loom large. The game proved that massive investment and ambition can lead to unprecedented success. But it also showed the potential pitfalls, the human cost of development, the temptation of exploitative monetization, and the risk of alienating a dedicated fan base. Grand Theft Auto 5's journey from an ambitious concept to a global phenomenon is a complex story of creative brilliance and corporate strategy. It is a legacy of record-breaking profits and broken promises, a shining example of interactive art that is forever intertwined with the drama of its creation and the controversies of its long, lucrative life.